Yankees Files podcast. We are back. I'm Will Harris, your Steve Garrison, and the rest of you are fans of the first place 6-3 best run differential in Major League Baseball, New York Yankees.
Whoa.
Steve, there's a ton to get into on this episode. The Yankees are good in spite of what happened today.
Yep.
And before we get into all of that, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing all right. Today's game was a little bit of a downer after a pretty good series otherwise. But I mean, if you offered me a 6-3 start, I would take that every day of the week. Let alone the fact that everything like you said, the highest run differential, the offense being leaps and bounds ahead of every other offense in baseball right now. There are some concerns and things I'm sure we'll delve into, but yeah, I mean, this is about as good of a start as I could have asked for. So no complaints from me.
I would certainly say so. I mean, the Yankees lead baseball in position player WAR. They lead baseball in WRC plus. They're just like kind of doing great at everything, and
Could easily be 8-1, right? Or 8-1.
yeah,
Right? Yeah,
could
8-1.
very easily be
Could
8 and
very
1.
easily be 8-1,
Yeah.
and it would be nicer to be 8-1.
I'd rather be 8-1. I'll
Sure,
say that.
always. And I think just because how sustainable is all this? I mean, that's maybe why I feel like a little bit more of a tug to be that 8-1 to get the cushion when you can get it, because you never know when things are going to start going sideways on you a little bit. But still ultimately can't be upset.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's good to be able to say this team could be 8-1 because it speaks to the fact that they haven't really been out of any games.
Nope.
I mean, even the game that you're putting squarely in the loss column, they had the 3-run home run in the bottom of the ninth. Like, they made that game interesting. And I do appreciate that about this team, because for as bullish as we were compared to the general discourse about the Yankees, there was still a lot of uncertainty about what would happen on the field. And it was by no means guaranteed that, these first couple weeks were going to go as well as they went. I think a lot of people thought there would be a lot of games that looked like, the performance against Andrew Heaney today.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it has broadly not looked like that. And there are players, I would say Trent Grisham and Anthony Volpe chief among them, who have performed at a much higher level than many people expected they would. And
Certainly.
There's a lot to be very pleased with about what has gone on to this point. Again, this is the first place team in the American League East. This is the team with the best run differential in baseball. There are concerns, as you said, but it's a long season. And if all you focus on throughout an entire long season is, hey, why should I be worried that my team is worse than I feel like they are? You're going to have a miserable time watching baseball.
It's true.
And speaking of having a miserable time watching baseball, Steve, we started this podcast, we being Whipple and I, in 2021. And the thing about 2021 was, I haven't gone back and looked at the record, but anecdotally, it felt like they were terrible on Sundays, which meant that we were always recording after losses.
Right.
This is your first experience with that.
First time.
How do you feel? How does this differ from how you normally act after a loss?
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about before, after not just any loss, but after a loss like this, where it just kind of hurts a little bit, you come back, the emotions are swinging. Now you burned your bullpen. It feels like a little bit of a beating you down kind of loss.
Yeah.
I would spend the rest of the day not focusing on baseball. I don't really pay attention to any other games. I don't read the stories after the game. I kind of just put my head down and wait until the next game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a trend I have a lot of times. If the Yankees lose, I tend to not read a lot about baseball the rest of the day. Kind of just get my mind off it for a little bit. With the podcast now, of course, I don't have that luxury of doing that. So I'm forced to stare at the dumpster. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's frustrating, but I mean, it's still it's not as bad when the team is playing well. I mean, which they ultimately are,
Yeah,
and they made it close. They might not have made it close, and they did. And the bullpen pitched great the second half of that game, and there's so many positive things to look at. And I have noticed this trend where any game played in really cold weather so far, Yankees don't hit.
yeah,
And I think until that, we've seen a longer stretch of warm weather not hitting, things like that. I'm actually going to use that as a little bit of a real excuse as to why
sure.
they didn't hit as well. That and they don't hit lefties as well. So it was a cold day against a lefty. ten
Against a
innings of
lot of
lefties.
lefties.
10 innings of lefties today.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that is a real concern. Cold weather or not being able to hit left-handed pitching is a very real thing, and we knew that going in. That's not just something we're seeing in the data now. If anything, that I haven't even looked at what the splits are. They might not be that bad against lefties right now. This game probably hurt that a little bit, but
yeah, and the splits won't have updated
no,
yet, so
no.
we'll chat
But
on it later.
who do we have? We got Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge, right? That are hitting
Yeah.
lefties well. Oh, Trent Grisham, of course. But
Trent Grisham.
yeah, but everybody else is weak against lefties, and it's concerning. Jazz is rocking like a 45% K rate right now.
Yep.
It's not great.
The 2021 Yankees were 11-16 on Sundays. So let's just
Well,
try to beat that.
Let's do that. Let's just do better
year.
than that. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the two glaring concerns about this team, one of which will be progressively addressed throughout the season, the other of which may sustain, are first hitting lefties, which is not going to be addressed except maybe at the trade deadline. Like Stanton coming back should help, but then that creates other lineup questions. Maybe you get something out of Everson Pereira. Like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel quick with what can this team do against lefties or with what they have in house for right-handed hitting. And then the other is the rotation. And
probably a bigger concern, really.
The rotation, I think, is an existential concern in a way that the performance against the lefties isn't.
Yes.
Now, Clark Schmidt is supposed to be back in like 10 days.
Yep.
And that will be nice.
Yep.
But things haven't been great thus far.
Nope.
And a rotation with Clark Schmidt in it still has a decent amount of Carlos Carrasco / Will Warren / Marcus Stroman in it.
Well, continue, but yeah, I'm wondering if Will Warren is even going to be here when that all happens. Today's start did not, I don't think, help his cause.
No, Will Warren did not do a lot for himself today. Now,
no, the final line actually isn't that bad. He didn't give up a home run. Struck out 5 in 4 innings.
Yep.
It was just he let everything snowball on him like he has. That has been the narrative.
Yeah.
For Will Warren.
Now, 1.19 FIP, 2.78 xFIP outing for Will Warren today.
Yeah.
And I mean, like a 21% strikeout minus walk rate day. Like some of the underlying stuff is good, but
that's been the story for Will Warren, though.
Yeah.
Like strong underlying numbers, good stuff, high ERA. Just a lot of earned runs. Usually off the home run, which he didn't do today. Yep. So that's optimistic. But he'll get another start. So I mean, that's it's not a question of that. So I mean, if he has another good start and then Carrasco gets blown up, I mean, the whole narrative could change on who's going to be here.
So I know that a lot of your expectation that Will Warren won't be around and Carlos Carrasco will be lies with the idea that the Yankees probably don't want to just let Carlos Carrasco go for nothing.
Yeah.
Is that what you would do were it your choice, or is that just your perception of how the Yankees generally operate?
I think it's hard because I don't know who's the next in line. Who is it? And I mean, like, we can dream up a hypothetical guy on the scrap heap that they can sign from the middle of nowhere, but I don't know who that is. I don't know if it's going to be any more. Carrasco will give you innings. He's going to give you innings, and they're already feeling the need for innings from the rotation.
Totally.
I just don't see a world where they just cut him. And the only way that was going to happen is if Will Warren was just dicing. He's absolutely dealing, and you couldn't afford to send him down because he was just killing it.
Yeah.
And the first start, I think, was tightrope walking, and he ended up not giving up many runs during it. So I think you kind of were looking to the next one, and now this one tilts that that conversation in a direction that I don't think is very pro Will Warren.
Yeah. It's
I would rather have Will Warren. If it was just no concern about depth or anything, yes, I'll take Will Warren. But it's not the question.
yeah, it's really, this is actually exposing something that I don't know if a lot of people know about baseball, which is that you don't want like your second or first and like fourth and like sixth. You don't want like a number of your top 7 or 8 starting pitchers to be unavailable. Um, I mean, and a number of their top 4 or 5 in the Yankees case, like, being without Cole, Schmidt, and Heel. But then there were even, minor league depth guys who we thought would be available as arms to various extents who.
JT Brubaker was supposed to be a guy we could have turned to. Would be
JT
really, really
Brubaker.
nice right now. Yeah.
Yep. And what a dumb injury.
Yeah,
Like,
what'd he do again? Something stupid.
it was like, there was a comebacker that he avoided, and then the way
Right.
that he avoided it is what
Cracked
hurt
his
him.
ribs or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And which is ridiculous. So like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel quickly, which is now the second time I've gone to that metaphor during this podcast, which is not something you love to see. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to believe that they can just let Carlos Carrasco go. I also, if anyone out there is thinking the Yankees didn't do enough this offseason to shore up the pitching staff, like I feel like you got to chill out with that. Like,
Oh my
Nestor
God.
Cortez, who they traded away, is already hurt.
Already hurt.
Uh, Marcus Stroman wasn't supposed to be in the rotation, and that
No.
was the big drama.
They had a
in spring
surplus.
training.
They had a surplus
Yeah.
the whole time, and everybody was asking, "Well, we got to trade a starter, right?" I mean, that was the whole thing. When we signed Fried, everybody said, "Why? We don't need more
Yeah.
starting pitching help." I mean,
Turns out we need a
imagine the
lot
team
more
without
starting
Fried.
pitching help. Yeah.
What would we be doing without Max Fried right now? I mean, the rotation would look ultra bleak, and it already looks kind of bleak.
There would be a lot of death certificates being written if Max Fried were not around.
And Fried is the only guy that I mean, look, Rodon, I have elements of, confidence and optimism about, but Fried is the only guy that I truly believe is going to be very good this year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there are coin flips or, bets with the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
Cold weather Carlos, who knows what we're going to get in Detroit.
Oh God, that's right. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I am loathing this 3-game series coming up with cold weather.
We can almost guarantee that I would take the over on 1.5 of these games being won in just some stupid way.
Oh yeah.
No ball is going to fly more than 310 feet, and a bunch of dumb nonsense is going to happen because people's hands aren't working.
Yeah. How many home runs? What do you think the over/under on home runs in Comerica Park with sub 40-degree? It would have been below freezing temperatures if they had kept the original game times.
Combined home runs in this 3-game series.
Full from both teams. How many home runs?
4.5 will set the over/under.
4.5. Yeah. I'm gonna go under. I'm just gonna go under. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know. You got Aaron Judge in the damn stadium. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. We got Scooble 1 game, but then there's 2 righties,
Flaherty
2 good righties. Mize and Flaherty are both good. I'll go over. Actually, I'm just gonna go over, but barely over. I'm gonna go 5 combined home runs.
Yeah, I'm quite glad that these games are being played during the day and I'm going to be in an office because I really enjoy watching the Yankees play baseball, as we discussed on our pre-opening day podcast, and I really enjoy having baseball as part of the rhythm of my life during this time of the year. I can't imagine having fun watching these games.
It's going to be brutal. And I really just want to get through them with no injuries. And something as simple as Cody Bellinger playing in that really cold weather game, tweaked his back. And you could see his swings all of a sudden became dog shit. Overnight, it was wait, what happened, man? Everybody throughout spring, the first few games, you looked very consistent, taking really good swings. And all of a sudden it was done. Then you find out he tweaked his back in the really cold game. And it's man, we got 3 games of crossing your fingers and praying to God Judge doesn't do something, or Wells doesn't hurt himself, Bellinger doesn't hurt himself more. I hate it.
Do you just throw Pablo Reyes and JC Escarra. I feel like they're going to be really light on pretty much everyone
It's going
throughout
to be
this
tough, man.
series.
I mean, and the bull, you're already going in. You got to think about the pitchers too. The bullpen is
Yeah.
now gassed going into this thing. We just used like the long guys that we had this game. Oh man, who pitches game one? It's Rodon, right?
It's Rodon and Mize
Rodon and
in game
Mize.
one.
We got to get innings from Rodon. He's just got to
Which,
go out there
like,
and just throw
in
fucking innings.
34-degree weather.
Ugh, God. I think it'll be in the 40s because they changed it to the earlier days, but I think it'll be like low 40s.
But this is tomorrow's the latest of the games, right?
It is, yeah. So it might get down into the. Can we just not play these games? Can we just delay them for later?
Can we put them, make like a temporary baseball field at Ford Field in the dome there in the football stadium? And
I don't know that I've seen a game change times like this for cold weather. Like that's kind of this must have happened at some point, but
that either.
I don't think so. It sucks. It's really the way the Yankees. I remember even looking a couple months ago at the Yankees schedule and thinking every place they go early on is cold.
It's cold.
And they've kind of gotten some luck with this so far. They've had some good New York weather ultimately outside of that one game. But now we're gonna feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like every Tiger series on the road, I'm reminded of that series in the summer of 2021 that ended with the Robbie Grossman walk-off against Justin Wilson. And
honestly, I don't even remember.
Yeah, the Yankees got swept and it was like terrible. And that's just what I think of when they play there. And now with it being like in a polar vortex, also the Tigers feel like the kind of team that will excel for dumb reasons under in like dumb conditions.
They have the better pitching lineup, and they're at least used to this. So like, I mean, to some degree, they're used to it. So.
Yeah, Carlos they have Rodon the advantage. Is from Indiana, right? It gets cold in Indiana. That's
Carlos Rodon was throwing like 92.5 miles an hour last start out when it was cold. It was concerning,
Steve,
man.
I got to latch on to something.
Go for it.
Also, but didn't he threw at least one ball like 95.5 miles an hour once he put on sleeves.
Did. And the Stuff Plus model still actually graded out his fastball as being really good. He was still getting really good spin and induced for a local break or whatever. But yeah, it's still concerning, man. The velocity, that's a whole nother conversation. Is nobody on this team is throwing hard right now, except for Max Fried, ironically.
Yeah, that is really weird.
It's interesting. He threw 98 his last time out.
Yeah, which we talked about, I think. And I certainly didn't think he had that in him.
I knew he could. I knew he was not like a low 90s guy, but I did not know that he could hit upper 90s.
I didn't think 98 was there. Yeah, so nobody throws hard. Some of that is by design.
Probably a little bit, but
we're used to the Yankees having a closer who can pump like 97, 98, and that's just not the Devin Williams thing, for example. No. So there are some places where that move was made and we expected it. Then you have obviously the two kind of junk balling soft tossers in the rotation who were not supposed to be there. But then you have your Luke's Weaver and your Carlos's Rodon, for whom, and I guess the velocity was better today.
No, it wasn't. It was not better today. It was awful today.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
It was terrible. It was down even. It was good. Good the last time out.
Yeah,
his last time out, it was a little better. I mean, it wasn't back to his 2024 levels, but he was sitting around 94, a little over 94.
Yeah,
which made me feel good today. I believe he was around like 92.5, which is about 3 miles an hour off.
So yeah, Rodon, Weaver, guys like that. It's like, hey, you're not. That's not the speed you're supposed to be pitching, and that's concerning. But
it could be the cold.
It could be the cold.
Yeah.
How much do you read into or how much credence do you give to the idea that like you really need to have guys who throw super hard on the staff? Because my concern is sure they're all different kinds of ways to be effective.
Yeah.
Velocity is a really, really good one.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how many, like Mark Leiter, who's obviously throwing harder this year, is an example of a guy who was getting, I throw 100 mile an hour swing and miss numbers without throwing 100.
Sure.
I don't know how replicable that profile is.
Yeah.
So even though I don't normally obsess over like, number of 98 plus mile an hour fastballs thrown, I am a little bit like, I might feel a little bit more comfortable if there were guys who they could bring in who just throw crazy heat. I don't know.
They kind of have the unit like that kind of mold right now between Fernando
Yeah.
Cruz, Devin Williams, and Mark Leiter Jr.
Yeah.
They have three guys with like super unique off-speed pitches that generate massive whiff rates.
Yeah. It's
So
like a
that
team of Tommy's Canely.
kind of, kind
Yeah.
of. I mean, Fernando Cruz has a splitter that is defying all whatever. I mean, all
Yeah.
laws of physics. I don't know how that thing even works. And same thing with Devin Williams, obviously. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you get Loizaga back. That'll be an upper 90, assuming he's
Yeah.
back to what he was. That'll give you a higher octane arm. But I think
Yeah.
it's concerning to a degree. I mean, at the end of the day, all I want is pitchers that are good. I don't care how you're
Yeah.
good. That doesn't matter to me. But I do think there's obviously a correlation with throwing harder and
Yeah.
you get better results. So, yeah, I'd like to see some guys that could throw hard again in the bullpen.
Yeah.
It would make me
Yeah.
feel good.
This conversation is very much like, um, it would be fine to have an offense made entirely of guys who hit the ball like Stephen Kwan,
Right.
provided they do the entire Stephen Kwan offensive thing.
Right.
But like, there's a reason that Stephen Kwan is unique, and it's because it's very hard to succeed in the way that he does.
Right.
And I think that's kind of how I would sum up the concern about the lack of velocity is it's just one of the more reliable ways to be good.
I think it forces you to walk a tightrope more, which is what we're going to
Yeah.
see with a lot of our pitchers right now is probably really high strikeout rates, manageable walk rates, really high home run rates. And it's all going to be about how you tie that whole picture together. Can you limit them to solo shots, keep people off base enough that it's not going to matter? But we're going to see guys giving up a lot of home runs with the kind of pitching we have right now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of all or nothing guys. So it'll be interesting. But we don't have a lot of damage limiters. Weak contact guy. I mean, like Tim Hill is a good example of
Tim
someone
Hill's a
like
weak
that.
contact guy.
Yeah.
Ryan Yarbrough was supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I think Ryan Yarbrough still will be. But I mean, Max Fried as a starter certainly is that kind of guy.
You know who's a sneaky damage limiter? And it
Who's
doesn't seem like he ought to be, is Luis Heel. Luis
Yeah, he
Heel
is.
allowed a really low ex-woba last year.
It's because he's weird. It's because his changeup is so weird.
Exactly. And it's like, the other kind of logic-defying thing about that is he loves walking people.
Right.
And
yeah.
walks have like, an 800 ex-woba or 700 ex-woba or whatever. So that should just jack it way up. But really, the contact that's made against Luis Heel, sure, he'll allow some home runs, is generally pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's rare to find someone who throws that hard and misses that many bats and issues that many walks who's also a contact quality suppressor. And that's one of the things that I really like about Luis Heel, and I wish he were pitching for the Yankees instead of recovering from an injury.
It's that changeup. I really think that's the genesis of the whole thing with him. It's just such a weird pitch. He throws it so hard. It seems to move different every time he throws it too. And it's just like, sometimes it looks like a two-seam fastball, just like a sinker. Other times it is a changeup. It's like, I don't think he knows what it's going to do. And I think that's part of the reason why.
It's like the Mariano Cutter thing. Hey, man, I just throw it.
Just throw it.
Yeah.
Maybe he could be a Canely. Just start throwing changeups all the time. He kind of started to, not all the time, but when he didn't know what to do, he just started hurling changeups up there, man. Yeah.
Dude, the Luis Heel season last year was so fun.
I wonder if we're ever going to.
It was such a roller coaster. It was ridiculous.
He was so good the first half. I mean, it wasn't totally supported by data, but he was. The results were very good.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe it was fun when people had a more reasonable, or when people were like excited that maybe Will Warren would do that, and Will Warren has not done that, but I hope he still does.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Jason Dominguez? I think he's been awfully fun.
Yeah, he's been good. I need to look at his data because he's had some kind of weird. It's all early, so everything is small sample, but he's kind of not. He wasn't hitting the ball super hard despite getting some better results initially. I think maybe he's coming back around now, but
329 ex-woba coming into today.
That's a little weird. Yeah, it's fine, but
he's got a 119 WRC plus, 242, 342, 424.
Is that after today?
That's after today.
Yeah, okay.
My favorite thing in his line to this point is the 10.5% walk rate.
Yeah.
I think that he's certainly, like last year in particular, he showed the ability to be patient at the
Yeah.
plate. Um, and we know that's a tool he's had in the minors. Like it's been double digit walks, double digit
Right.
walk rate, almost across the board until last year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's been great to see that because there's a type of hitter who Anthony Volpe is actually this type of hitter, uh, who we've seen in the past where if he's hitting well and the balls he puts in play are getting through for hits, everything seems awesome. But
Right.
then when that stops happening, he's walking like 3% of the time.
It's
And
brutal.
that was
Yeah.
the thing that really doomed Anthony Volpe last year was there was
Yep.
nothing in his profile because he had abandoned power and he wasn't walking that
Yep.
could support him when he went into these rough stretches. And the fact that Jason Dominguez hasn't done anything like remarkable with how he's hitting the ball, especially relative to what we know he's capable of doing, and there might be just the handedness thing in there where the Yankees have faced so many
Yes.
lefties that,
He's hitting righties well.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. But the fact that especially hitting right-handed so much, he's still posting, obviously it's early, but a double-digit percent walk
Yeah.
rate is, I think, just very encouraging. It's one of the things that in the early going I'm most pleased with.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, everything there. I really do think it's just he's had to face so many lefties, and
Yeah,
he's at the victim of everybody else around him too, because he's usually in the lineup positioned as like the right-handed option in between two
yeah,
lefties. So any bullpen time, they're just throwing lefties at him. He's just getting pelted with
yeah.
lefties at the end of games every single time. So that sucks. I actually think he has looked visually a lot better in left field. He hasn't done anything bad at all. He made a
Yeah, there
couple nice catches
was,
today. There was one play, that weird like trap kind
yeah,
of play, that thing.
exactly. And that was it.
Um, it was like a 50% catch probability,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. I was looking it up. So, I mean, it
Okay.
was one of those, in betweener ones, but
Yeah.
he had a couple today that looked really natural and
Yeah.
easy. And kind of like I said, I don't expect him to be good out there. I just think
No.
he'll be average. I think he'll
Yeah.
be fine. And I think we're already starting to see more of that. So
Yeah. I think,
optimistic.
our expectation was not that he'd be anything other than serviceable,
Yep.
and he's been serviceable. The lack of discussion of the quality of defense he's playing is
It's
one of the best
huge.
signs because
Yeah. No one's talking about
that
it
was
right
a
now.
powder keg. Everyone was ready to start freaking out about that, and it's
He
really
just dropped
nice.
one ball. He hasn't actually
Yeah.
impacted a game yet. There's been a couple like weird oddities,
Yep.
but he hasn't done anything yet that people can say we lost this game because Jason
Yep.
Dominguez. Like,
Yeah.
that hasn't happened. Yeah. So that's
Uh,
good. Keep it going, kid.
yeah. Really, really enjoy that. And then we got to talk about the Trentaissance.
Oh man.
Do you think I've not been workshopping that. It was just the first thing that popped into my mind earlier,
You
and I was
know,
like, that's what I'm going with. There are
Renaissance
probably
Trent.
better options.
I don't know. I'm too tired to think of a funnier one, so we'll go with Renaissance. That's fine.
Uh,
But yeah, my God.
Trent
Yeah.
Grisham has the highest WRC plus on the Yankees.
Not surprised. Not surprised. He's been unbelievable.
He rules. And I do feel vindicated because
It's all a small sample, but yeah.
the Trent Grisham stuff was kind of my beat last year. It's interesting. He got the guy with reverse splits billing from his 2023 season.
What's his career numbers, honestly? His career numbers do trend that direction.
So for his career, he has a 111 WRC plus against lefties and a 93 WRC plus against righties. So he's had reverse splits, but it was crazy in 2023.
Okay.
And then I think it was not the same
last year. He hit righties better. Yeah, I think he had a higher like batting average or something against lefties, but yeah, he slugged more
last year
against
he
righties.
was a 74 WRC plus against lefties and 96 against righties, and he hadn't shaken the reverse splits guy moniker, and now he's mashing against everyone. Like he technically has traditional platoon splits this year. It's just so nice that he's succeeding. Like there's former coworker of mine who listens to this podcast, hey Ray, how's it going? Who insists that Trent Grisham hasn't been given a chance, which I did agree about last year, and that the Yankees need to either play him or trade him. First of all, I think the Yankees are going to play him a decent amount, especially if they're like managing a Cody Bellinger injury and depending on how Jason Dominguez handles left-handed pitching. But also, like, Trent Grisham is a terrific fourth outfielder to have. I don't like we can't be doing the thing where we're furious that the Yankees aren't the Dodgers with respect to building depth, and then we see them having a starting quality player on the bench, and we're like, well, you got to trade him. You're being unfair to the guy. Like, no, this is a perfect guy to have around.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, Trent Grisham had you could have argued for him still getting a starting role in 24, but he had played his way into a potential reserve role from the prior 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, he had posted an average 82 to 83 WRC plus over 22, 23, if I'm not mistaken. Something bad. I mean,
it was 83 in 22 and 90 the following year. And
yeah,
he was around 1.8 WAR both seasons, playing a lot of center field, which a guy with his quality of glove should be, putting up more than that.
Right. And he still had the kind of the pedigree because he was a top prospect. He had looked really, really good. I mean, as recently, remember the first part of 2021, people were raving that he was going to be a superstar.
Yeah.
And so, I could understand that, but he's like the kind of guy that ends up as your fourth outfielder. I mean,
and
by
you're
definition.
perfectly happy with it.
Yeah, it's a perfect guy to have. So I think he's exactly where he should be. And it's good that he's getting more playing time. I love a guy that, especially with this team, that even though they're being more disciplined than I thought they would be, he is the perfect kind of bat right now for a team that theoretically was going to have very low OBPs across the board. As a guy that takes a lot of walks.
Yeah, he is a career 11.5% walk rate guy, which is exactly what his walk rate is this year. And that is again, to the point about Dominguez and Volpe, Trent Grisham has buoyed his offense in years when he struggled to hit by the fact that he has such a good eye and is always so willing to walk. Yeah. So
he'll hit 190 with a 320 OBP or something crazy like that.
My favorite one is 198 with a 315 OBP in 2023, which is just it's such an asset to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And
I like guys that walk.
A lot of guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for a time there, a lot of Yankees were super patient. So I was turning more towards just get guys that want to swing the bat and hit homers. That's all I want. Yeah. And now we're kind of back at we kind of need some guys that are going to walk. We're doing a decent job of walking right now, but
a decent job.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees.
I don't think that's where they're the most elite though.
No.
Goldschmidt's not really. I want him to walk. I want Goldschmidt to show me that he will take walks, especially if he's leading off.
The Yankees are 13th in walk rate.
That's fine.
They're second in on-base percentage.
Yeah. I mean, if they end the season there, if that ends in there, I'm totally fine with that. I don't care how the OBP gets there, honestly. I don't care if it's walks or not.
Well, that's the thing. I was talking to a coworker of mine this past week, and he was telling me about how he thinks batting average is important, and I was like, oh man. But what we got to is he said I don't like the product, and I said totally fair.
Yeah, 100%.
different point, but totally fair. Yeah. Yes. And what that gets at is having a preference for the composition of your team's results, which I think we all do. I was joking with a friend on Friday. Anthony Volpe came into Friday's game, or one of his at-bats on Friday, with a 208 batting average and a 978 OPS. And I was like, he's perfect. that would be my ideal way for a team to operate, because I just think it's fun. And, this coworker of mine, he would not like that. He wants to see, high batting average guys and whatever. And totally fine, but that is a lot of the times in baseball discourse, there's a distinction that ought to be made that isn't, between I think this thing is objectively good and I like when things are this way.
Yeah.
And those things are not tied together. And the run value stats tell us that. 100%. You might really want to see the ball in play or sacrifice bunts or whatever. But in order for those things to become more common, you would need to change the incentive structure of the game or change the meta of the game somehow to
Right.
make it so those things are more associated with run scoring.
Right.
Because to a point that the warmonger likes to make, the numbers are never wrong. Like, we know exactly how much things are worth. And you
Right.
might want different things to happen,
Right.
but it's not like we are improperly calculating how good or bad these different things are.
Right. Yeah, no, I have that conversation all the time, which, if your aesthetic preference is to watch a lot of singles and that oldest, and that's fine, but the game didn't end up where it is right now by mistake or by
Yeah.
accident. There's a reason why the game is, transitioned to being what it is right now. It's because teams want to win. That's all.
Yeah.
Whatever the best way to win is what the teams will start to do. So it's not just like, oh, these teams don't understand. They don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't. They need to go back to the way it was. Like, why would that be the case? Just think about it for a second. Why would that be? How? Yeah, I don't know, but I do understand if you just say I like that style of baseball more.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. It's just not the best way to win.
Yeah.
If you don't want to win.
Two other points there. The first being, there's a video going around of Vinny Pasquantino on Eric Hosmer's podcast, and Vinny is talking about how he came up in the first inning of a game with runners on first and second and nobody out, and he bunted, not for a hit, but he advanced the runners, and the next guy hit a single, and they were up 2-0, and he's like, and people were so mad at me on the internet. And my response is like, well, don't you want to win? And I'm like, Vinny, they're mad at you because they want to win.
Yeah.
And the fact that you successfully executed a sacrifice bunt and the guy after you got a hit does not mean that that's a good strategy. It means it worked in that one instance. It's like you can throw a batting practice fastball and have someone pop it up. That doesn't mean throwing a batting practice fastball is good. The second thing there is people assign a lot of blame to hitters for the game looking the way it does when pitchers are much more responsible for it.
100%.
This is, I think it's Jeff Sullivan, former host of Effectively Wild, who now works somewhere in baseball. He has, his pinned tweet is a few like, just kind of like fundamental truths about the state of baseball. One is, if you can afford the team, you can afford the players. Another is, it's not the batters, it's the pitchers.
Yep.
And that is so true. Like, the core reason why offensive strategy in baseball is what it is today is because pitchers are so good that it's really, really, really hard to get a bunch of hits in a row against them.
Yes.
That is like, if you want to get down to the most base level, that's what it is.
Yeah, and just the entire way pitching is structured, you're seeing like 3, 4, 5 arms a game, and everybody's fresh, everybody's throwing mid to upper 90s unless you're the Yankees bullpen. But even then, you're seeing disgusting off-speed stuff. You get one look at them, you're in there for one. And it's this idea that you're gonna know this guy, read this guy's tendencies, take time, work, whatever. It's no, you have to go strike big. You have to. You got to swing big. Take walks and hit home runs. If he doesn't throw you strikes, don't swing. If he does, hit a damn home run. Hit the ball hard, at least.
It's a really good point that you're facing more different pitchers who all throw harder with nastier movement than at any other time in baseball history.
Any other time. It's not even particularly close. I mean, we don't have all the data from certain time periods, but I think it's safe to say, yes, that just from what we've seen in the last 10 years, 15 years, how much velocity's increased. I doubt it went down, but before that. Yeah.
And this is, it's funny that the people who say like hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports are also the people who are like, why don't these guys just put the bat on the ball?
I know. Yeah, the hypocrisy is hard, man. Again, it has nothing to do with reality. It's just harkening back to a nostalgic era that they want to get back to that goes even beyond baseball. It's just a time period they want to return to.
I wish Enrique Wilson and Miguel Cairo were on the Yankees. That's like
Enrique Wilson.
I
Oh
like
my
that
gosh.
Enrique Wilson was around for a very specific reason, and
Pedro Martinez.
And he was good at that. He was so bad at
One of the
baseball
worst
otherwise.
Yankees in like
Negative
recent
career
memory.
WAR.
Oh yeah.
Miguel Cairo had an unbelievably long career for a guy who was pretty much never good at anything.
He 04, I believe, with the Yankees. I loved Miguel Cairo.
Sure, we
My
all
whole
loved Miguel
family
Cairo.
loved Miguel Cairo. Yeah, he was a hero. Pointy ears.
What a guy. Miguel Cairo, what year do you think he last played a Major League Baseball game?
Major League Baseball. So he
Yeah.
was at the Yankees in 04. I
Do
think
you know when he debuted also?
90s.
96.
96. Okay.
Yeah.
Last played say like 2009.
2012.
Damn. Good
Miguel
for you,
Cairo had
Miguel.
156 plate appearances in 2012. I don't know how that's possible.
Wow.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He was a Yankees hero for a brief moment there.
He was. Well,
speaking of nostalgia.
Exactly. That's really what I wanted to get.
Yeah.
You want to just remember some guys?
Do that.
That's dangerous when we get
Sean
into
Chacon. Yeah.
Oh, Sean Chacon and his partner in crime, Aaron Small.
Daryl Rasner.
Sean Chacon, Alaskan, much like Kurt Schilling.
Is that right? Well,
Yeah.
hopefully not like Kurt Schilling in all ways, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a number of ways in which he's not like Kurt Schilling.
I hope. Sean, if you're listening, don't be like Kurt Schilling.
Can you imagine if Sean Chacon's listening to this podcast?
If you are, Sean, let us know. Let us know.
Send in a letter. That would be really funny.
Yeah,
what do you think he's
awesome.
up to?
I have no idea. I don't know much about Sean Chacon outside of his 05 performance. I think it was 05.
Yeah. Remember last season when I just started looking up former Yankees on LinkedIn? That was fun.
Oh yeah. You just started. Who did you find? You found a couple legitimate
Brody
ones.
Kerner was one.
Okay, there was a particularly good one. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, there were some good ones. I don't remember all of them. I'll look for that while you give your confidence 1 to 10 in the New York Yankees as they go into their
we're on to confidence.
6 games in 7 days against Detroit and San Francisco.
Where did I end? I ended at an 8, right?
Yeah.
Last time. I honestly think I'm just gonna stay at the 8 because we were 3-0 at the time. I said 8, and then we've gone 3-3 since. Right?
That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay at an 8. Yeah, 8. I there's a lot to be optimistic about. Things I'm concerned about still. Just need more data. Need to see more. I really want to get through this damn Detroit series. I'm probably not going to put a lot of weight on the outcomes of this series.
No.
Unless they win, and then it's awesome. But if they lose, they could end up 6-6 after this series, and I'm honestly just going to try to not think about it and move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. The really good name that I found on LinkedIn was Coulter Bean.
Coulter Bean. Wow. Coulter Bean.
Shout out Coulter Bean. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to stick at an 8. Yeah. I think there are things that I would have liked to have go differently. We talked about some of our concerns about the team, but again, we're talking about the team with that's leading its division and has the best run differential in baseball. I'm not going to go down just
not going to go
stuff
down
to be worried about.
Yeah. Ultimately good. Would have liked to have seen them won one of those 2 games that they could have won. I would feel a lot more. I maybe would have gone up to an 8.1 or 2 if they were 7-2 right now.
Yeah,
which is maybe arbitrary, but
yeah, but I mean that's kind of like, I'll let people in on a thing about this podcast. I think it's really funny that we're like the rational, large sample, don't overreact podcast, and yet we rank our confidence in the team down to the 10th every week. I think it's a nice, ironic, funny juxtaposition thing that we do.
If we were going to be uber consistent, we just wouldn't change. We'd just be the same number.
Exactly. Which would be a good bit for one of us to do.
Would be. I mean, we're both aligned 8-8. We've done that. We somewhere along the line we gotta split. We gotta fight. Will we have to contrive a fake argument?
Yeah, this is
idiot. 8. How could you possibly be that confident in this team? All right.
YankeesFiles almost tore itself apart at the seams over Andrew Benintendi a couple years ago, so we'll get into some sort of knockdown dragout thing at some point.
I'm excited. I hope it's not Cody Bellinger related, because Honestly, I'm not defending it right now. Though,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that's the thing, is you're not going to blindly stand by him. So.
not unless the data's there. And he hit 2 balls really hard today. I mean, he hit 100. They were both on the ground, which sucked. One of them was a hit, but
shouldn't do that.
104, 109, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just not enough samples here for anything yet. So just got to see more.
Anyway, Steve, as we get to wrapping up here, any parting shots from you?
No, I'm just going to try to not pay attention to this Tiger series. I really might not watch. The middle of the day, I might just kind of like just check on my phone.
I'm probably not going to be able to watch, so I don't blame you.
I'll probably flicker on and off, but I might just game day it, just kind of look down and see what's going on, because I don't anticipate it being great. I'll watch Max Fried. That's what I'll do.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to go to my first game of the year on
Oh,
Tuesday.
yeah, you missed the Diamondbacks game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which ended up being a good game to miss. I didn't need to see Geno
Was that the game they lost?
That.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that sucks.
But I expect to go to my first game of the year on Saturday to see William Harper Warren. So if anyone who's listening is going to be there, let me know. Say hello.
I think the weather should be better when they get back here.
Hopefully.
Back there. Yeah.
Yeah, here for me.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to get off your chest before we wrap up this slightly abbreviated edition of the Yankees Files podcast?
I don't think so. No. Belly, be an MVP for me, man. Don't make all my prognostications look so bad.
One thing I should have mentioned but didn't, and we'll talk about it next week. Jazz Chisholm has obviously been awesome this year. He's been really freaking good since he joined the Yankees, and like we will put that into the context of the wider league on a future episode, because
I will say, man, like the 45% K rate's kind of concerning. Like that's not sustainable. It doesn't matter. Like that's not sustainable. I mean, it's just not. I don't care about a lot of strikeouts, but that's you're jumping the shark at that point.
Yes, but I don't think that's quite stable.
No, but does that mean the rest of it's stable though too? I don't know. I just mean there's a lot up in the air right now.
There's a lot up in the air. I think if we went back to his first game as a Yankee and we just rolled in these 9 games that he's played this year, the numbers would look quite normal.
Sure.
Anyway, maybe this is what we're gonna fight about.
Maybe,
but we're not
I don't know.
We're not gonna do it right now. Shout out to the UConn Huskies women's basketball team for winning their 12th national championship this afternoon. Shout out to the Duke Blue Devils for failing to win a national championship in the men's tournament last night. Really appreciate that. Shout out to the Houston Cougars for preventing it. That's it for us. You can keep up with everything we do at YankeesFiles.com. You can follow us on Twitter, where we are at YankeesFiles. The podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. If you enjoy it, we hope you'll do all those positive interaction things, subscribe, rate, whatever. If you don't, we hope you just listen to it a bunch of times and juice our numbers. You can get the added bonus of video if you're a Spotify listener, and the whole video podcast also goes up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@crosstownsports. We will be back similar time, similar place next week to recap the series that were against the Tigers and the Giants. And until then, let's go Yankees.
Let's go.